Well, hello there. My name is NimbrishBean, Nimbrish, Nim, Bean. I've had a couple different interpretations of the way that people call me by this name, but I think Nim is the one that I'm most well known for. And welcome to my final video, my farewell. I'm pretty sure that there are the few people who still even pay attention to my channels. You've probably noticed the fact that all of them but one has lost any videos on the channels. And the reason for that is that I am retiring. This specific persona though, the Nimbrish persona, my channels here, I'm retiring them. I don't really know if that's the correct word that I should be using. Because, to be honest, even though I have had these channels for several years now, they never really got that much attention. But, either way, these channels will not be having any more videos. There is one, though, that does still have all the videos, and will still have all the old videos from my channels on it, and that is my old VODs channel, which is now called Archive Videos of NimbrishBean. And I'll be putting the link to that channel in the description of this video across my other 3 channels. This video will also be up on my VODs channel to kind of explain things also. As I mentioned beforehand though, I will be deleting my studio channel, which is, I think it's literally just called Nimbrish Studio, my main account, which was just my NimbrishBean account, and then my vlogging channel, which is called A Day in Crow's Journey. Funny enough, my vlogging channel, it had like 4 videos on anyways. Wasn't really much that was going away with that one. I don't even think I posted on that channel since 2022, so at least with that one, we're not really missing much, man. Something I just kind of want to mention, because I don't really think I've ever gotten to talk about kind of the eras that I went through, because I had several eras when it came to my online persona. Obviously, the current one is NimbrishBean. That is a name that I came up for myself, I believe during kind of the winter of 2022. Obviously I didn't start actually using it until 2023, but it was around that time that I didn't fully feel like the name that I had suited me. And I'd only been using said name for a little while at that point. And I really tried to brainstorm on it. For some context for anyone who doesn't know, which is probably most people that would watch this video, Nimbrish is a kind of like adjective almost of the word Nimbra. It's kind of a way to describe them. Nimbras are a species from a lot of lore things that I did that will not be gone into because I will be posting them on a different channel that will also be mentioned at the end of this video. But for the most part, it just means chaotic and playfully mischievous. Playful mischievousm is what Nimbrish means. And then Bean, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. So Nimbrish Bean, mischievous Bean. that was kind of the whole gimmick behind this name. And where Bean came from is because that I used to be called like the Bean of the group. People would say, just like, oh, he's a bean. It kind of an inside joke. I ended up turning it into the name though, NimbrishBean, and honestly, this name has been the one that genuinely, aside from my first ever name, genuinely felt right. And it's why I kept it for so long. Obviously, I'm now retiring it. Before that, during at least like a little bit of 2022, I had the name Coffee Paws. It was during an arc where I wanted to focus more on my, I don't know how to say furry side, because I am a furry for some context. I'm not really a furry in the way that like I dress up in a fursuit type of way, but I'm a furry where like I enjoy anthropomorphic like art, and I like the more goofy art and everything that people draw. I also watch a couple of furry content creators and have for several years now. So I wanted to enter into that space. Obviously, it was very short lived because I never really ended up going that direction. I stuck with Minecraft. Um, a little before that, I also had the name Sleepy System. That was an incredibly short period of time. And the context behind that name is that I am a DID system. It's been something I've been very open about, but also not something that except for that very short era, mind you, it was never something that like was what my content was focused around. It was just kind of something that like I never really lied about or hid. Then before that was the name that I used for pretty much the entire time that I was on the internet. Persona was my longest lasting one, was the one I grew the most with, was the one that I was in the TCC, or the Chaotic Cult. Um Mind you, this was not a cult. We've had many memes about that. It ended up changing to the Chaotic Crew at some point because there were a few people who did genuinely think it was a cult, and I had to change the name to get them to come hang out with us more. Um, but yeah, and that name was Blazin' Gamin, or Blazin' is Tired was the Discord side of it that I had. Blazin' Gamin, though, was primarily what my actual channels were named after. That was the longest lasting one, and the one that I have the greatest attachment to. The one too where I got to learn how to be a kid, even though at that point I actually became an adult while still under that moniker. Um, and I have a very strong attachment and connection to the name Blazin still, even though I don't use it anymore. And then of course we have my first ever online name, basically ever. I never actually ended up using it when I was still doing actual content, because by then I'd already changed to Blazin. But that was Blaze Knight. That was the name that my first ever Discord account was, my first ever Minecraft account. Um, I believe it was Blaze Knight 101 was the exact one, but that was where the name Blazin came from. Um, and that's kind of just a short history of the personas, online personas I've had throughout the time. I believe I first entered the online space in roughly 2019-ish, and I celebrated my 16th birthday with the first ever group of friends I ever had online. Um, During that time, of course, I've had several personas, and since I never really got to talk about them, and also I'm not going to be using most of them anymore, I decided that I am going to do a little showcase of them, show them off. Because this is of course a black screen, this is going to look a little bit silly because some that might even be off centered, but we're going to work through this. We're going to work through this. So this is the first ever this is my first ever actual profile picture that wasn't just a random picture off the internet. At the time, I wanted Blaze to be a redhead because obviously they were the interpretation I had of myself. And, Blaze, fire, and honestly, I just kind of liked the redhead look. They were, as you can see, incredibly baby faced. And at the time, I had a big hyperfixation on wearing collars, but in a kind of like cutesy aesthetic outfit way. Um, the funny thing too is that the first ever time I saw someone wear a collar was Sean Wasabi in his official video for, I believe it's Otter Pop, and that awoke something in me where I was like, those look so cool and cute. I want to wear collars. Obviously I couldn't because my parents were definitely not going to let me do that. But as you could see, I did have it on my first ever actual profile picture. Unfortunately, I genuinely do not remember the name of this artist, and this was several years ago. So I definitely do not have contact with them. Unfortunately, otherwise I would mention it. The next one is Blazin. This was my main persona later on. This was the one that I used a lot. Blazin, funny enough, originally was a character that I created for a supernatural series I was supposed to do with my friends. We just kind of never ended up doing it, so I just liked the skin a lot. So I ended up using it as my main persona skin, and also this profile picture as my main persona for a while. Um, Blazin is a phoenix, and obviously it's not very obvious because the wings aren't there, but I honestly really liked this persona a lot. Definitely had the whole like e-boy like early 2000s e-boy. That was not on purpose. I don't know why, but my early transition period, I did genuinely look like an e-boy, and this is basically around that time. So it's very goofy. But I like it a lot. Then, of course, we have Coffee, which is where Coffee Paws came from. Coffee is a recoloring, actually, of my first ever and one of two still, actually, personas that I have. Um, this recoloring, which I'm not considering an actual persona of mine, was supposed to be kind of like a deer cat version of my OG one. I ended up retiring it obviously when I didn't end up keeping Coffee. And anyways, I still actually have the OG persona, which is the one that I'm probably going to continue using and have a much stronger attachment to than I do Coffee. And then here we have, well, the persona, the NimbrishBean persona. Um, Mind you, this is not NimbrishBean, as you can see. This is Divinity. I had Divinity done by BugLover6000 on Etsy. Peak store name right there, okay? They are actually the only person that I go to when I want a reference sheet done. I love them. They're awesome. I love their art, and they always get my characters like exactly how I want them to be, which is something you don't take for granted with artists. Um, but yeah, here's Divinity. There is some lore to him where during Champions SMP, something that I definitely should have posted more of my content about it with, but I just never really got around to a lot of it, which is unfortunately what happened quite a bit back then with my content. Um he is the son actually of my main character that I played through a lot of Champions SMP, which was Divinus. I have my own version of the lore that the Watchers came in, and if you know about Hermitcraft, you probably know what I'm talking about. But the Watchers came in and wiped out the server, and that was my explanation as to why the server just ended so abruptly all of a sudden. And Divinus was killed by the Watchers in the aftermath, and his son took him and his aunt and escaped into the void. And now we have Divinity, who took on the moniker and looks of his father due to his mimic abilities, and just kind of is a dimension hopper. It made a lot of sense too because of that to have it be my persona, because of it having dimension hopping abilities. So I could always just play off like, oh, it's because of the fact that it hopped into this dimension, or it's doing this thing because of this. But Divinity definitely, I think, is one of my favorite ever personas I've ever had, and I love its ref sheet so much. I probably will continue to use it even under my new moniker, um, just because the fact that like the reference sheet was so good, and I love its character. Obviously it won't be my primary persona anymore, but I still appreciate it a lot, and I love this character. I also have my profile picture from Divinity. Love this guy. He's so silly. Um, I unfortunately once again don't quite remember the name of the artist I had to for this. But if I remember correctly, I think that they unfortunately no longer have a shop on Etsy, because I remember I went back to go check for possibly doing another profile picture. So, yeah, I definitely love this picture, and I love the expression that they gave to Vinny. I will say, only thing is that apparently I think they did misinterpret the eyes, because Divinity's eyes are completely white. There is no pupil or anything. Um, there was like a miscommunication there, but honestly, I didn't. She still liked it so much that I just kept it like that, and I didn't even comment because like, look at him, look at that expression. I love that expression. So yeah, that's a little like rundown of my primary personas that I've had. Just because I want to give them some appreciation because I definitely won't be able to use them in the future anymore, really. But I guess that's kind of it, really. I obviously want to thank anyone who's watching this video who's possibly watched previous videos of mine, and just say thank you for following this journey, for watching my past videos, for enjoying what I've made, for seeing what I've made. It does mean a lot to me. I never really got that big, but at the end of the day, it didn't really matter to me. There was a very short period of my time where, like, unfortunately, I did fall into that kind of content creator mindset of everything for the content, everything for the money, for everything, even though I wasn't making any money. But there was some part of me that hoped one day I could. Now, though, I'm an adult. I've been an adult for a bit now. I've had time to grow and think on things, and now I'm back to how it all started, which is that I made content because the content was for me, and then I put it out there so other people could enjoy it. Other people could like my art. I kind of am that type of creator who feeds off of the love and adoration that people talk about in like comments. It's why I'm a writer on AO3 of all things, because I love the comment section there. Um, it's why actually I didn't mind being a writer on Wattpad, funny enough, because people do comment a lot on there, and it can be a lifeblood for you. At the end of the day, though, the whole reason that I am officially retiring these channels, this persona and everything, is because of the fact actually that I'm an adult now. I've had a lot of time to grow. I've had a lot happen to me. Even since October. For some context, it's only a couple days until December of this year. And ever since I finally left home for the first time officially in January 2024, all the way up until now, until the end, the beginning of November, the beginning of November and the end of October, when I officially left homelessness, which I entered into during December 2022. Something that I don't really bring up a lot, just because I don't know how you do that. Um, and I've like grown a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I even was able to go to therapy for a little bit of time last year that I plan to restart this coming year at some point. I I've been able to do so much, learn so much about myself. I'm living on my own now. I'm finally able to heal away from my like past kind of abusive home life. It's complicated there. Um, and now I'm here on my own. I've already celebrated 2 birthdays by myself. It's been a lot. A lot has happened so quickly all at once ever since I moved away. I'm not saying that like before that it was any better, cuz my home life was definitely not, but it's been a lot, and that can be good or bad. But at the end of the day, I really do feel like I'm finally actually in a steady, stable place where I'm learning to grow into a new version of myself that I want a clean slate for. I want a fresh start. Because obviously, I'm still a creative person. I still want to make content and post content, but I want a fresh start in that because this content's all going to be new, and I don't really want to be judged by what I used to make. But I also don't want to destroy that part of myself completely off the internet because that's still a piece of me. And I appreciate that piece. And honestly, I also kind of like going back to my older videos and laughing while watching them because what was some of that? uh but yeah, I will have new channel, and I'm going to continue making content. It's just that I won't be linking these new channels or anything, and I want people to find me of their own accord. I want people to find me based on their enjoyment of my new content and my new group that I hang out with and record and stream with. That's what I want people to find me for. At the end of the day, I just, hope that everyone out there who possibly watches this video can, learn to grow too and hopefully have a positive outcome. It's not easy and it's not right away. It took me genuinely several years before I really took a moment and thought on all of this, thought on growth and positivity and just seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a little bit ominous what I'm saying right now, I'm starting to realize, but really what I'm trying to say is I hope everyone the best, and I hope that this video finds you well, or at the very least finds you on your way to being well. And that in this kind of day and age of just shittiness, we all do our best to be better people. I'm sure some people may have noticed on my Bean Studio channel, back when the videos were still there, I always had a little line at the end of each of them that said, be kind to others. And just gonna repeat that here. Just be kind to others, be kind to yourself, and just try to do good with everyone else, because that's something I'm having to learn every day and something that I definitely want to promote in my newer content. So yeah, best wishes to everybody, and I hope you all the best, because I'm signing off now. Goodbye.